Okay, I think we're good, AJ. Really excited to go through this topic with all of you today. Techify really takes pride in being a thought leader for the community, making sure that everybody is aware, as knowledge is power when it comes to cybersecurity. And I am assisted by our Director of Pro Services, AJ Kotze, who is actually a cybersecurity expert for us here at Techify, and who graciously accepted to co-present with me as he was the expert on the topic. So welcome, AJ.
Thank you so much, Anouk. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So I'm going to pass it over to AJ. He's going to take us through some very, very important points as they relate to cybersecurity, and we'll be interacting together throughout the presentation. This is for you. So the chat is available. Ask any question you need throughout. We're happy to answer them as we go. And if there's anything that you want answered after the presentation, you're welcome to email us and we're happy to assist. So AJ, I'll pass it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anouk. So just quickly stepping through our agenda for today, Anouk has done that very nice warm welcome and introduction. We'll also touch on cybersecurity when it comes to people. As with all business, people seem to be the biggest problem. Training and accountability, we'll get into leadership's role in cybersecurity, and as well as a little bit of a quick guide, phishing and how to protect yourself against that. Then we'll do a little game show, Kahoot, with a prize, which is nice. And then we'll do some recommendations and closing. Right, awesome. So let's get started. Right, so cyber threats. I have been in the technology field for a little over 20 years now. And the things that I see, they keep me up at night. So to give you a couple of examples, here's 50 of them. Here's 50 different cybersecurity threats that your business faces on a daily basis. And I know it's scary stuff, but we're here to give you advice on how to deal with this. And you might be looking at this list and thinking to yourself, okay, there's 50 issues here. Where do I get started? Where do we start on all of this? And the solution is pretty clear. The starting point should be with people. If you think about the different ways that people can interact with your environment, interact with your staff, it's always the largest attack vector is the people. They are the endpoints that are kind of exposed to the world. So how do we deal with that? That's a really important question. So when it comes to cybersecurity, people are the challenge, and there's multiple paths to deal with that particular problem. But let's talk about the different type of problems that people can cause, because not everyone is on the same skill level, and that might cause challenges because not everyone has followed a training course. Not everyone is clued up as to how do I identify an email from a fraudulent party. So human error and social engineering. There is a human factor in cybersecurity because your users or your employees, they are interacting with systems all day long. And they're not just seen as endpoints anymore. They're gateways. They are the entry point into your business, into your secure data. Most security breaches begin with a user action. Someone clicks a link that they shouldn't have clicked. They download a file onto their computer, and maybe your antivirus picks up on that file and it gives you a pop-up warning, and that person simply ignores the warning because it's not their problem, it's IT's problem. What we've been seeing in the field is a lot of phishing and credential theft as well, especially in the realm of someone who's able to get into an environment and then sits in that environment as a sleeper agent, collecting data so that they can find the most optimal way of breaching that environment. And that's the really scary part about it. Then there's command and control, where they take over. And this is done through phishing. And it's really important to have a layered approach. I always make the Shrek joke. Cybersecurity is like an onion. You need different layers to get to the core of the onion. So, and one of those steps as well is password management. So passwords themselves become an issue. And as a professional in the IT field, and especially the cybersecurity field, I look forward to the day when we no longer need to remember a password because we no longer use a password. And that is exactly where the future is taking us. And you can see their term SSO. Us nerds, we love our terminology. SSO is single sign-on. So that means you're using your identity provider be that Microsoft 365 or Google, but that is your provider for your single sign-on. So if you log into a different portal, you use those credentials to sign on, and therefore you're kind of protected by that separate system. So conditional access, good example, can protect your QuickBooks Online environment because it has single sign-on. Maybe your payroll system allows for single sign-on. You can utilize Microsoft's built-in security profiles to protect those systems.
That's awesome. And AJ's obviously very technically savvy, but to make it very, very simple to the viewers who might not be as technical, think of it as this way. When you are clicking on a link and entering personal information that has been sent by a threat actor, what AJ is sharing is you're opening the door to your house. You're saying, come on in, come have a look, take a look at everything in my house. And you might not even realize they're in there, but you've opened the door. So the measures he's talking about are put all the steps in place, which he will walk us through to make sure that they never get through the door by making sure employees have the right behaviors and knowledge as it relates to threat actors.
Exactly right. And we try to arm our customers with data. So we always say that we're powered by data and AI, but to be truly powered by data, you look at the reporting and you make a decision based on that. And that's where training and accountability comes in, because we all need to be trained on what to look for, and we all need to be held accountable. And that all starts at the top. So we have two separate platforms. One is called Dark Web ID. The other one is called Security, and they provide really two different functions. Dark Web ID is a platform where you can go, where you get reporting from us telling you if there's been a major breach somewhere else. So let's say a popular website, let's say Facebook. So let's say Facebook is breached tomorrow and your credentials were part of that breach, but you maybe reuse that password in different accounts. Dark Web ID will tell you there's been a breach at Facebook and therefore you need to go change your password. So it's an extremely effective system, not only for business operations, but managing your account overall. And then there's Security. Anouk, and you've seen Security. It's a fun little thing. It's little training videos. So if you think
I did them at my previous job, and I still to this day have a lot of the memory relating to doing the videos. We do them here at Techify as well, but like AJ said, it's these 2-3 minute videos. They use actors, like famous actors, and they're fun. And they just show you, here's what you don't want to do when you receive a certain email. Here are behaviors that you don't want to adopt. So AJ's right. It's a really great way of teaching your staff how to adopt safe behaviors.
Exactly right. Now, the big problem with training, and everyone knows this, and this kind of relates back to the people problem, training is boring. When you put a 15-minute cybersecurity video in front of someone, they are not going to engage. They are not going to engage with that video simply because it's too long. They just want to get back to their work. And what Fin does for us is it minimizes that video. It brings that video down to a bite-sized piece. They bring in these really comical Hollywood actors to do the voice acting, and it's really well animated. And everyone loves an animation, and everyone loves the funny Hollywood actors. So it really engages people, but it goes beyond engagement. So having a short, animated, and humorous clip is one thing, but holding people accountable to that is something completely different. So what these systems provide us is reporting to say, hey, Bob did not finish his training, and Bob is continuously clicking on phishing links. And this gives you data, the data to go to Bob and say, hey, Bob, you might need a little bit extra cybersecurity training because we can see that you're clicking on these links, and you can re-express in the culture of your business and say, guys, cybersecurity is something we take seriously. We need everyone to complete those training courses and watch those videos. And the other,
just quickly to add to that, sorry to interrupt, AJ. I also think because we're speaking as to CEOs, and what you want to think of when you're thinking of your planning for your firm, it also gives you the visibility. You could be sitting on a beach somewhere, and you're going to get your monthly Fin training report, and you're able to see, here are the phishing emails we sent out, and here's who from your staff clicked on them. They're obviously not real threat actors. Here's your staff that did not complete their training. And then you have the ability to go on your teams and then individually, like AJ said, say, hey, Hugo, I noticed you have a couple videos to complete. Can you make sure they're done by end of week? Hey, Michelle, I noticed that you clicked on this link. Let's have a conversation because this is dangerous behavior. So you're really able to go to the source within your company of behaviors that could put you at risk. So I very much support you, AJ, in that statement. Fin is fantastic to create a good, safe culture when it comes to cybersecurity.
Exactly right. But you do need a partner to tell you what the data means. And that's where Techify really comes in and really shines. We look at that reporting for you and we'll make recommendations and we'll make suggestions on what you can do from your side to make sure that your staff take cybersecurity seriously. That it's not just a once-off report that goes out and everyone ignores it. It's something that it's actively being worked on a monthly basis. But you need to make it a leadership problem. And this has been very important from the outset of these different training programs that's available. Is it's as important for the CEO to do the training videos as what it is for the receptionist to do it. It is really, really important because it sets an example. And if I was running a business, I would be the first one to do my training so that I can show my staff that I am taking things seriously, and so should they. So leadership's role. Anouk, could you step us through a little bit of this?
Yes, absolutely. I second what you're saying, AJ. And just yesterday, I was leaving my computer, and a big part of cybersecurity, right, AJ, is not leaving your computer unlocked, not going somewhere else. And an example of an executive driving security is if I walk away from my station, even if it's to get a coffee and I don't lock my computer, I'm not leading by example, right? If I'm not following with the Fin training, I'm not showing it. So be intentional. Every meeting you run with your team, make sure there's a cybersecurity component to it, right? It's a very relevant topic, as is AI, right? So discussing relevant matters that will impact your business. I would say ask your team if they've noticed any behaviors from leadership that could put you at risk. Give them a voice, right? It's a business survival issue. So educating the team and leading by example is very, very important because it avoids a disaster recovery situation or having to create a huge incident response. Another thing I would say is every firm, in my opinion, should have an incident stimulation and response plan, and they should run it out, right? Which is something that we provide our clients with. That way, everybody knows what to do should something happen, and they develop the right behaviors. Should you be under a cybersecurity threat, the speed at which you address it, the process you have in place will have a huge impact on the impact it will have on your firm. So I think that's very important, AJ.
That's excellent. The other portions to this to think about as well is what does that business continuity and disaster recovery look like as well? That's really important as well because we are facing threats that we've never faced before. We have AI that's playing a really big part in not only optimizing businesses, but also optimizing the way that these malicious actors are acting. A good culture step to take is something we've actually done here at Techify is we have an AI moment built into every staff meeting. We have a cybersecurity moment that's built into every staff meeting because we're trying to integrate it into our culture as much as possible. But let's talk about business continuity and disaster recovery. A long set of words here. But what this basically means is that recovery time. So if there is ever a major incident, someone gets into your environment, encrypts a bunch of files, how long does it take to get the business back on its feet? And it's very important to keep in mind. When we were doing our AI summit, we heard it directly from Microsoft. 70% of companies that get breached and go down do not come back up again. And that's a horrifying statistic. And that is why business continuity and disaster recovery is so important. Incident simulation and response. Are you simulating incidents? Are you taking the time planning out an incident and simulating that incident to see what the reaction is? And do you have a response plan in place to deal with these type of things? And something that we've recently also started implementing is a red team exercise. So a little bit of nerd speak here, but in the cybersecurity realm, you have a blue team and a red team when it comes to testing out how strong a network, how strong infrastructure is. Your blue team is your defender side. They sit on the inside and they defend against attack. And red team is an internal resource trying to hack another internal resource's account. So What a red team will do is they'll use their social engineering skills and they'll ask someone for their password, or they'll walk by their desk and they'll maybe see a written note with a password on it and they'll take a picture of it. And then that way you can identify where are the holes in my security infrastructure.
Absolutely. It's also a good team building exercise.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So we help you stay informed, knowing the risks, and it means you can respond faster and smarter, and you can be clued up about it. The next slide is actually a little bit of fun, which is a website called Have I Been Pwned? It's a gamer term. It's actually being owned, but gamers, we all know them. So this website, I would ask you in your web browser right now, go to
Let's share the link. Yeah.
Yeah, let's share the link. Hugo, if you could share the link for us, and go to this website and feel free to put in your email address and see if you've been a part of a compromise.
Yeah, so we did this when we were preparing for the webinar. It was actually really fun. We all typed in every single email address we ever had, like personal email addresses. Also, a cool thing you could do with your teenagers who might say, "Oh, you know, don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm not at risk." Just type in their email, just see, because sometimes it's a breach that has nothing to do with you, right? It's something that impacted LinkedIn, or it's a software you're using. So we just thought it would be fun for all of you to try it out.
Exactly right. So with that said, let's have a little bit of fun. I am going to share my browser and we're actually going to test it. We're actually going to put in an email address. So please excuse the gamer tag because back in the day when I set this up, I was a young and stupid person. But this is my gamer address that I use for everything. And I can see I've been a part of 3 data breaches, this particular account. And I can see where from. I can see all the places where I might have had an account and where there have been data breaches. Example, a music provider, Deezer, they had a major data breach back in 2019, but I can see that there was a problem there. So luckily for me, I keep a very close eye on these things and I change my passwords very frequently. But let's test out my Techify email address because this is the way that I do business. And I'm very happy to see that I've not been involved in any data breaches. But if I were, I would be able to act upon it. So bookmark this page. It's fun to show everyone as well, you know, to share this around and spread the love when it does come to cybersecurity. It's really an important factor for people to talk about it. Sorry, let me just represent.
Take your time.
There we go. Sorry, I'm just scroll to the slide where we were.
No worries.
So there we go. Have I Been Owned? It's a really, really good platform. If you're looking to see have I been breached, put your personal email address in there, and then you can see. And if there's been any recency there to breaches, they will give you the information, and you can make a decision based on that data. Right.
All right. Phishing is top of the line when it comes to threat actors. So AJ, being so technical, explain to us a little bit about, so obviously phishing, they're trying to steal credentials, they want to install malware, they want to impersonate you, but walk us through a little bit of the mindset, especially with the arrival of AI when it comes to phishing actors, because they have stepped their game up, right? So before it was very obvious, it was someone emailing from another country with a weird name. They're getting really creative.
Yeah, so it is getting more and more it's getting more and more complicated, and it's getting more and more difficult to identify when there's actually phishing going on, because they look so realistic. They actually take content from actual Microsoft emails and then they adapt that to their own usage. And the only thing that they're changing is the email address that they're sending from and the link that you're clicking on. And you might think that you're clicking a Microsoft link and you're really not. So phishing is literally that. It is like phishing. They're tossing a hook out and they're sending it to 1,000 people and they're hoping that someone bites. And unfortunately, this industry exists because so many people get caught up in it. So it's important to know exactly how to identify phishing. And
Yeah.
like I said, it's getting more and more sophisticated. And you've seen the emails from
Yeah.
looking
I
like
agree.
Microsoft. Even the address that they're using is spot on. It looks so
Mm.
close to actual Microsoft. So the intent there: steal your credentials, install malware on your system. They want you to allow them in, let them in the door.
To open the door to your kingdom,
Exactly.
100%. And the fact that, so I think what was interesting is I didn't realize until a few months ago that 90% of cyber attacks came through phishing, right? And again, the advancement of AI is playing a role in how creative they are and how effective they are at getting through. So we're going to take you through some more data as it relates to phishing, because it is the primary way threat actors will enter your environment. So if we move forward, AJ, to the next slide.
So we do have a poll.
We're going to do a poll for to start off. Have you ever received a phishing email or text? So Hugo will pop up the poll, and we're just curious as to if you've ever experienced it, and I will answer as well.
Well, it's an absolute yes from me.
100%. What my response would have been, if there would have been a no, you might not even realize that it was a phishing email. So sometimes they're quite good, but it's unlikely that you haven't. So that proves the point, right? Everybody is seeing them enter their people reach out to them via cell phone, via email. They're getting really creative. So we'll look at the different forms of phishing. Let's get this. Phishing comes in many forms. So there's email phishing we just talked about, which is the classic fake email, right? Can you transfer me money for gift cards for so-and-so? But again, they're getting much more creative in the way they're reaching out. Spear phishing is a targeted attack that references personal information. Okay, whaling is aimed at executives, so it's when you're trying to get all the CO credentials, so you can start to ask different people within their community to do different things. Smishing is phishing by SMS text message. For those of you who obviously all of us have cell phones, you can right-click and report the spam right away from your cell now, but we all get through it. Voice phishing, I was actually listening to a podcast about that 2 days ago. Our next Techify webinar for our clients is about back to school and keeping everyone safe. And the voice phishing one is one I would really look out for within the next year, because it's getting smarter and smarter. And what it does is it'll hear your voice for a few minutes, and then an AI can speak as if they were you. And my advice would be, whenever you have a sixth sense, ask the person to send you a text as well. If they are calling you, just say, hey, let's send me a quick text, right? Find a second way to authenticate that it is the real person. And then business email compromise, which is impersonating an exec or vendor for financial gain. They are much more successful than you know, because people don't talk about cybersecurity attacks. It's very taboo in society. It's embarrassing. It brings on, people feel shame, but it's much more common than people realize, where financial teams are sending over large amounts of money, truly believing the impersonator, and then that money isn't collected back, right?
Exactly right. And for me, the most tragic thing about it is the people who they target. They don't target the young hip folks. They don't target the generation that grew up with tablets. They target older folks. So if anything that you take from this presentation, speak to those older people in your family and get them a little bit of insight into how to identify these things so that they don't get caught up in it.
Mm-hmm. We like to share examples, and it's not so much for to create fear, but it's to create awareness, right? Because there are big amounts, and they're quite successful. So when you see that a phishing scam tricked Facebook and Google, like, we're talking, these are monsters, right? Into paying $100 million in fake invoices, they're doing something right, the threat actors. In 2021, Colonial Pipeline paid $4.4 million in ransom after a phishing-enabled ransomware disrupted nearly half of the U.S. East Coast. The ransomware approach, and AJ, I'm sure you have a few things to say about that. It's very tricky, because if you pay the ransomware, they might release your data, but then you're on the list of people who pay. So they're going to try to penetrate your environment more aggressively next time. And then in 2016, Belgium's Krelan Bank lost 75.8 million in Beck scam, where attackers posing as executives tricked employees into transferring funds. So we just want you to have an awareness that they're getting much smarter, and they're often going after the financial component of companies, right? So to ensure that all your teams are well trained, but really, really focusing also on the finance piece, because that's what they're after.
Exactly right. And the other thing to remember about ransomware is just because you paid them does not mean you're going to get the decryption key. And even when you do get a decryption key, there's a good chance that it will not work and you won't get all your data back, which is why I mentioned business continuity and disaster recovery earlier. It's best to be prepared for when these things happen, and you can simply ignore the threat and just go back to business continuity and get your data back.
Mm-hmm. I just want to address a really good question. So Ashley was asking, what are the risks and next steps involved if you try to verify a phishing call by requesting a text message? So Ashley, where I was going with that was, for example, if a colleague called and requested something a little bit that sounds off, right? You're just like, oh, something feels off. You would just say to them, hey, can you just send me a text with the details? But you wouldn't give the person your phone number. So you would be asking someone who already has your number to find another way of communicating with you that only they would know. So that's what I was trying to allude to with that advice. I hope that answers your question. Okay, we wanted to get you to practice a little bit. So let's go to the next slide and see what are real and fake phishing examples. So if everybody can put in the chat if they think this is a real or if they think this is a phishing email, that would be great. Just curious on everybody's input.
I'm not allowed to answer this one.
All right, we're getting a lot of phishing right now. So AJ, let's see what it is. So 100%, Michelle, you're the first one to answer. Why is it a phishing email? Okay, there's no personalization. The sense of urgency, everyone, is huge. A threat actor, they want to ignite fear, right? They want you to feel a little panic, like if I don't take action now, I'm going to lose something. And then there's an unusual sender domain. Sometimes when they're really, really good, what I always recommend, or what we always recommend, is send the email to your IT partner. Forward it, just say, hey, unsure about this email. Can you just confirm if it's legit? You're not clicking on any links or anything, you're just forwarding it. And then that way you're sure that you've crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's. And I would highly recommend that if there's even 1% of suspicion with an email.
Perfect. We've got another example. Let's see.
So what about this one? Legit or phishing?
Michelle
all right, let's
is on
see where
top
we've
of it
got.
today.
Yeah, Michelle's on the ball. So this is a real email, 100%. It's from a recognizable domain. It's not overly pushy or urgent, and it's not asking Hugo for personal information. Another thing is, you'll probably notice that banks and different partners now are sending emails proactively. Be proactive with your cybersecurity, right? When you have a strong IT partner, you work with them you can send proactive messaging to your staff, right? If you're noticing different kinds of behavior, you can send an email to your clients and say, we've noticed there's different cybersecurity behaviors. We would never ask you for personal banking email via email. Set your own rules to protect your clients and your environment. All right, how can we protect ourselves? I won't read through all of this because AJ and I went through all of it in some form of detail, but think before you click, right? Have an awareness. Don't think that every email you received is well intended. Unfortunately, we live in an environment where there are many threat actors. Verify the sender. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, when you verify the sender, even if it comes from a legitimate source that you can see, oh, okay, this person is in my company. If they're asking for anything specific or anything suspicious, if they're asking for money in general, pick up the phone, give them a call. Did you send this email to me? Because you could identify a breach very early.
100%. Verify the sender. So the first thing I do, and this is part of my fin training, is I always check the email of who sent it to me. That was one of the major points I retained. If there's something as little as one letter missing, right? So .co versus Microsoft.com. Look at every little sign that it could be wrong. If the message seems a little weird, so trust your sixth sense, right? As human beings, we know when something feels a little off. Watch for the urgency in regards or threats, because again, they want to ignite fear. So if you're feeling fearful after receiving the email, don't ignore that feeling. You don't want to share sensitive information. So you're not WhatsApping, a colleague, your credit card information. You're not leaving passwords lying around all around the office. There are applications that can support password memory that are safe. You want to use multi-factor authentication. I think that's pretty much a standard now in most companies. So what happens is when you're changing URLs, it's asking you to authenticate. So if I go from Techify to my home, I'm having to authenticate. Is it in fact Anouk Malavoy? It's sending to my phone. I think that's a very important step. You want to keep your software updated. That's a big part of what we do for our clients with our techification visits, is you want to make sure the patching takes place, because what happens is different softwares will update their patching to keep you safe from certain threats. So you always want to keep yourself up to date. And then education, right, AJ? You know,
Exactly
once you
right.
know and you create that awareness and that behavioral change, it'll become second nature. But the thing is that awareness doesn't ever stop. We're in an environment where it's changing every day. And therefore, you know, you want to constantly be checking, educating, and reformatting how you view cybersecurity for your team. AJ, I'll let you take over in terms of our last 5.
Yeah. So reporting suspicious emails, we have a saying here in Techify: trust but verify. So if you see something, say something, report them to the IT team. It all runs on machine learning, so you want to feed that machine more and more data. So even if it's just a suspected phishing email, report it. Use a password manager. So there are many options out there. There's Keeper, there is LastPass, 1Password. There's multiple password managers for you to use. I prefer the offline ones. 1Password is a really good password manager because it's offline and it's just for you, and it doesn't have cloud access. Be cautious with attachments. So don't open attachments. You'll see that Outlook will warn you when you open an attachment, and Microsoft also has systems in place to scan those attachments before it even reaches your inbox. So it will remove the attachment if there's something wrong. If you're unsure, ask. I would prefer if some of you sent me an email and asked me for advice, even if you're not a Techify customer, rather than you going ahead and clicking on something that you really should not have. Don't download apps from unauthorized parties. So if applications are legit, they come from a legitimate place. The Android App Store, Apple's application store, Microsoft has invested greatly in their App Store. It's more catered and curated, and that makes sure that you are protected against threats. So trust your instincts. If something feels off, there's probably a good reason for that. Even if it looks legitimate, pause and investigate, because there's subtle psychological manipulation going on. And when doubt, verify through trusted technology partner.
You got it.
Perfect.
All right,
We have a
let's
Kahoot.
test your knowledge. So the winner of this Kahoot, you have a choice of a $25 gift card. Once we identify the winner, we'll reach out, but you can just tell us if you want Starbucks or Amazon, whatever your choice is, we'll send it over. But we find this is a fun way of retaining information. So Hugo is going to set it up. What we'll need you to do is just go on your computer or your phone to Kahoot and put in the ID. I'll find the URL.
Yep. It's
so
kahoot.it.
www.kahoot.it, and then you just want to put in our game pin. We'll give you a few seconds to get started with this. And feel free to put in a fun name. You don't have to put in your real name if you don't want. We have fun at Techify with these. We do them at all our staff meetings.
Not spam. That's brilliant.
What the reason also AJ and I really like the Kahoots is, and we're sharing this, find tools also to create that accountability, right, with your team. That's fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't feel like you're pushing it down their throat, but you're rather saying, look, we spend time training you. We want to make sure that you retain the information. And the Kahoot just creates, like, everybody laughs and you can see the responses and it creates a winner. So sharing that, it's been pretty popular for our teams. Okay, we'll get started in about 60 seconds. This is a fun group.
I love these names, Big Fish and Big Mac. Love it.
The only thing, team, is you're going to have to tell us if you win. If we don't know your actual name, please put it in the chat. Okay. I think we should get started. Let's get started. What percentage of successful cyber attacks begin with a phishing email? Just so everyone knows, the quicker you answer, the more points you get. So it's not just about getting it right. We did this at our AI summit. We had 200 attendees, and it was beautiful to see people become children again.
It is fun. We do this.
Life is too serious.
Yeah.
Nice work, everyone. Okay. Next question. Big Mac in the lead. Fill in the blank. Users are not just endpoints, they are targets, starting points, alleyways, or gateways.
Awesome stuff.
And by gateways, we mean they're a vessel for the threat actor to penetrate your environment. Smishing is a form of phishing done via SMS messaging. Is that true or is that false? Correct, it is true. Rania in the lead. What is the most common entry point for cyber attacks? USB drives, outdated software, public Wi-Fi, or phishing emails?
Well, people answer so quickly.
Okay. Which of the following is a common tactic used in phishing emails? Offering free tech support, asking for feedback on a recent purchase, creating a sense of urgency or threat, sending holiday greetings. Awesome. Feeling, creating a sense of urgency or threat. And again, that's a good dinner table conversation. Fill in the blank. Cybersecurity is not just an IT issue, it's a workforce issue, a company issue, an employee wellness issue, or a business survival issue. Correct. Nice work. Few more. Winners winning. That's great. You receive an email from your CEO asking for gift cards. What should you do? Do you buy the gift cards? Do you reply and ask for clarification? Verify the request through another channel or forward it to your team?
If you are a CEO in this scenario, that would be quite odd.
Correct. But this is part of the educating your team, right? This exact situation happened to a good friend of mine who owns her own company. The staff was actually on his way to buy all the gift cards and said, "Oh, I'll be right back. I'm getting the gift cards you asked me for." And she said, "What gift cards?" And that's how they figured it out. But he was going to go scratch them and send them to the threat actor. Winner still winning. Why is MFA, multi-factor authentication, important? It makes logging in faster. It adds an extra layer of security even if your password is compromised. It stores your passwords for you, or it prevents software updates. Nice.
Awesome.
I think we got one more, AJ.
Oh, it's so close. So close.
Okay, AJ, I'll let you take that last one.
What should you do if you accidentally click on a suspicious link? Should you report it to IT immediately? Should you ignore it? Should you delete your browser history, or should you restart your computer? There we go.
You guys are awesome. Everyone got it right. And this is also good for us, everyone, because we want to make sure that you retain a lot of information. So in third place, we've got Nate. Second place, we've got Confused. Well, Confused did a great job. So
not so confused.
And the number one winner.
Winner. Ironic.
Talk about manifesting. So winner, I'll just get you to put in your name, if you don't mind, in the chat so that we know to reach out. That'd be great. So that is it for our presentation. I'll let AJ take it back.
Yep, just a second. Right.
And Gavin, I agree with you. Okay.
All right, awesome. So we have next 6 next steps for CEOs and executives. Number 1, conduct a cyber risk audit. It's important to understand where you are, to understand where you want to go with your cybersecurity.
AJ, change your slide. You're still on Kahoot.
Oh, am I?
All good.
It's confusing.
There we
And
go.
now?
All good.
Am I good now?
Yeah, you're
All
perfect.
right.
You're perfect.
So yeah, conduct a cyber risk audit. Like I said, it is important to know where you are, to know where you're going. So make cybersecurity a board level priority. Make it a strategic priority for your business. Make it a part of your culture. It is super, super important that everyone rows in the same direction. Invest in an executive cyber awareness training. Get your leadership team on. Your leadership team is on board, the quicker the rest of your business will get on board as well. So demand a tested resilience plan. You need that resilience plan to know what is happening with your business in case there is ever a breach. We don't expect the worst, but we need to prepare for it. Integrate a cyber strategy with your business growth. That means embedding cybersecurity into your digital transformation, and protect innovation. Partner with the right cybersecurity expert. And this is really an important part. Engage with a trusted advisor or firm with a proven experience and a proven track record in the industry that can give you advice and guidance.
And on that last point, AJ, just really quickly, I just want to share with everyone. So most companies now have cybersecurity insurance. When you are partnering with a cybersecurity insurance partner, they're going to ask you what you have in place for cybersecurity, and it will impact your premiums. Therefore, it's important to be proactive in regards to cybersecurity versus saying, oh, well, we have a really good plan for if something wrong happens. Also, what's in place for it to never happen. And like AJ said, making sure that the team is trained should something happen. So I can't stress that enough. Being reactive post a cyber breach is much more costly than being proactive, right, AJ?
No, exactly right. You want to be prepared.
Mm-hmm. And we're creating a webinar series that we're going to run every month for all of you. So we'd love your feedback, and we take constructive feedback really well. One, if you have any topic ideas you'd like to share with us, feel free to email Techify. We'd love for you to rate this webinar. We want to get your feedback to make sure that we're providing content that's valuable to you. And don't feel like you can't reach out to us after the presentation if you think of something else you want to share. But we're very, very appreciative of your time. And thank you for spending this hour with us. I hope you found it beneficial and you learned a lot. And AJ, thanks for joining me.
Absolutely. And I will be available for any questions. Please let us know what you think. Feedback is extremely important to us. Like I said, we're powered by data and AI. So we need that power, that data to be powered by. So thank you so much for your time and joining us today.
And Stephen, we will be in touch with you. Congrats on winning the Kahoot. Okay, have a beautiful day, everyone.
Awesome, folks. Have a good one.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.